Today we will discuss a very interesting topic, and it is the preparedness and performance. In this topic we will discuss about the introduction, then the scholarly definitions of the preparedness and performance, the woodcutter story, the types of the preparedness, why is mental preparedness so important, methods of mental preparedness, factors affecting performance, perspectives on performance, one case study that we will discuss. So, whenever we are talking about the preparedness, it is a state of being the prepared for whatever the task or goal what we want to achieve, then we are getting ready for that. Preparedness is a hereditarily impacted. It is the hereditarily impacted predisposition for particular stimulants to be more sufficient than other people in inducing specific reactions. So, now you can get the answer here. That is why some people they are highly prepared and some people are moderately prepared and some people are not prepared, and the reason is that it is the hereditarily impacted predisposition. And whenever we talk about that is the hereditarily impacted predisposition, then definitely that will affect. And when you are having the subordinates and your subordinates they are hereditarily if are strong in preparedness, so you are lucky. So, it is a congratulations, that is you are having this type of subordinates. This concept plays an important role in learning, right. So, naturally those who will be well prepared, so they will be better learners, particularly in understanding the classical conditioning process is there. So, when we in the learning process we know there is a social theory. Social is learning from the society and surroundings is there, from the environment the person learns. And when we talk about the classical conditioning theory, then it is a learning process that occurs through the associations between an environment stimulus and a naturally occurring stimulus. And if the environment stimulus, if in individual sensors are enough strong to capture the environment, because there might be the certain people those who will not irrespective of environment they will keep on doing. So, therefore, it is becoming that is there should be environment stimulus, and then there is a naturally occurring stimulus is also there. Psychological preparedness is not necessarily about removing feeling of anxiety or stress, as this may be adaptive, but in learning to anticipate, recognize and manage these effectively. So, therefore, these two dimensions in learning process, because the learning is the core function of the preparedness, and therefore, this learning depends on the feeling of anxiety or the stress is there. But not only the feeling of anxiety or stress, it is the anticipation, recognition and management of the anxiety and stress. A person is capable to have the anxiety and the stress in his control. He is able to manage, he is able to already he is prepared. So, he knows, he is anticipating that is the situation may arise and therefore, I should prepare. So, he will manage the stress and anxiety. If he is able to manage the stress and anxiety, definitely his performance will be much better. So, whenever we are talking about the performance, so Borgigan in 1995 has mentioned that is performance is a system of complementary parameters, sometimes even contradictory, which draw the results obtained by the analyzed subject and the process of obtaining those results. So, whenever we are having those results which are having the analysis and the obtaining the process, then definitely in that case we will have sometimes the complementary and sometimes it may be the contradictory. So, Venkatraman and Ramanujam in 1986 they talked about performance is a time based of any strategy. So, therefore, whenever there is a we are prepared. So, we are making strategy. Now, this strategy will be tested and the result will show our performance will show whether we are able to deliver or not. If we are able to deliver the strategy, then definitely in that case our performance will be the best performance. So, before any task to perform, the employees they make their own strategies. They try to deliver their particular strategy in their best way, and that is why it is becoming so that the sometimes the people those who are prepared and their strategy works, so they are the best performers. But sometimes it is not, and therefore, in that case it will be possible that is the performance is not satisfactory. Role status in 1998 talked about performance is a complex interrelationship between 7 performance criteria. What are those? That is the whenever we are talking about the performance, first we have to focus on effectiveness. So, manager does a job and that job's impact is strong or not. If the impact is not strong, it means its effectiveness is not there, and if effectiveness is not there, there is no purpose of doing that job, because you have not got the result, we have not got the outcome what we were expecting. And then second is the efficiency, that is a timely doing the job. So, in this case if we are able to do the performance timely, then definitely that will be having the proper efficiency. So, if person is prepared, he will be able to deliver the task timely and his efficiency will increase. Third is the quality. The quality of the performance that depends on the how the person has prepared. If the person has prepared from the so many resources, person has prepared from the since long time, then definitely in that case he will be able to put the quality, because he will filter the quality and the best quality he will put in his name. And then the productivity, that is the how the person is having the productivity. The productivity I have also discussed with the in our previous session, and there we have talked about, that is the productivity will lead to the quality of work life. If we are productive, when we are talking about the efficiency, when we are talking about the effectiveness, which we have talked into the managerial effectiveness earlier, then definitely in that case our quality of work life that will be better. Higher is the productivity, higher is the quality of work life, and because we are prepared. So, in during preparation, naturally what is required is ideas, different ideas, that is the creativity and innovation. If we have different ideas much before and then we implement those ideas, then definitely our performance will be better. And profitability or the budget ability is there finally. So, ultimately why the business is doing all these activities? The business is doing all these activities for the profitability or the budget ability is there. So, if there is a profitability, then definitely in that case you will repeat that particular task and you will get the more profit. Krause in 2005, he has talked about performance refers to the degree of the achievement of objectives of the potentially possible accomplishment regarding the important characteristics of an organization for the relevant stakeholders. So, therefore, that will be the important characteristics will be for the relevant stakeholders, and then it will be possible for these organizations, that is the creating the more productive and efficient manpower. Seligman in 1970 he has talked about the preparedness. In the preparedness, biological preparedness is the idea that people and animals are inherently inclined to form associations between certain stimuli and responses, and therefore, as per the Seligman study is concerned, they are having the biological preparedness also. Malkina-Pike in 2013, psychological preparedness is defined as a state of awareness anticipation and readiness. An internal primed capacity to anticipate and manage one's psychological response in an emergency situation is there, and therefore, it is showing that is the whether if you are prepared and an emergency comes, then in that emergency situation also you will perform better. The reason is performing the better is that is the person's internal primed capacity that to anticipate was strong. When you already know that something is likely to happen and then you are doing you are prepared for that, then definitely in that case your psychological response will be prompt response will be there. In the Morrissey and Resser 2003 wrote initial research drawing on the much larger body of research on the psychological correlates of physical preparedness also suggests that emotional preparedness may include cognitive states such as feeling confident about being able to cope with a disaster and a sense of personal control and self reliance is there. So, therefore, in that case your psychological preparedness that will become the strong performance. Performance will refer to the capacity of the subject to register progress as a result of the efforts. So, whatever the efforts are there aimed output and aiming to achieve and even overcome the established goals. So, therefore, when we talk about this particular model, so this performance will be on the basis of the resources means, that is the input, that what are your resources are there, and then if your resources are like normally we are having the man, machine, material, money, and methods and minutes. So, these 6 M's. So, these 6 M's that will be the main: machine, material, money, method and minutes. If resources, we are having the strong resources and therefore, this budgetary process is there when we are talking about, and the objectives are there, and then you are having the efficiency and effectiveness. Naturally, when you have the efficiency and effectiveness with the objectives, then service quality results will be there, and when service quality results are there, that will be the output. So, performance is depending upon the input, process and output, and in this process we should not forget about the managing the resources efficiently and effectively. If we do that, then in that case definitely we will be able to come across the whatever the barriers are there, we will overcome and we will perform efficiently and effectively. Here I would like to narrate this particular story, that is Abraham Lincoln is regarded as one of the most important presidents in American history that all of us know. He was well known for his energy and productivity. The Abraham Lincoln's productivity secret was that he was always prepared for the challenges that he had to face. So, he once said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe," and that is the preparedness. This statement shows us the importance Abraham Lincoln gave in preparation before accomplishing a task. So, therefore, how much importance he has given for the preparation in a particular task. Lincoln, who was a skilled woodcutter before becoming the president, probably meant his both literally and figuratively. So, therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is the if you want to get the results, first you should spend more time in your planning and your preparedness. Inefficient practices waste energy, and therefore, if whatever you are doing and then it is not the sufficient practice is not done, then definitely in that case it is a wastage of energy. So, it is better to spend the majority of your time finding and cultivating the best practices to go forth with any particular task. And if you understand and learn, that is what are the best practices are there, then definitely in that you will be able to come out with this particular results with the expected effectiveness. So, question arises, how many types of the preparedness are there? So, one is the physical preparedness. Physical preparedness is when an individual acquires necessary skill sets to tackle an upcoming challenge. Practice and persistence are the main aspects to be considered as far as physical preparedness is concerned. Persistence refers to a perseverance in spite of fatigue or frustration. So, therefore, this is very interesting. That is when we talk about the physical preparedness is there. In physical preparedness, the practice and persistence are the main aspects that is to be there. Unless and until we will not have a persistence, refers to the perseverance in spite of fatigue or frustration. So, therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is the we are physically prepared. Second is mental preparedness. The psychological components include the conscious awareness of one's state of mind, ability to notice their physiological arousal, ability to focus on the task at hand without distraction of unnecessary thoughts, and the clarity of mind to make the correct decisions. So, therefore, in that case this physiological arousal, that will be focus on the task at hand, and one should focus on the task at hand and not with having the distraction of unnecessary thoughts. So, whatever the task he is doing, that he should be able to concentrate, and if he is able to concentrate, then definitely there will be less and less distractions. Less distraction will be there, more focus will be there, and more focus will be there, there will be clarity of mind. So, there will be clarity of mind to make the correct decisions in the case whenever we are talking about these the physiological components of the mental preparedness is the pathway by which the resilience is developed, and then when we talk about that is the mental preparedness is there. So, therefore, there will be less and less resilience is developed. So, mental preparedness is a way of getting your mind ready to cope with the stresses in a survival situation, and therefore, many times as we talk about that is a challenging. So, when the unforeseen situations arises and suddenly there is a declining of any particular resource or the outcome, then in the immediately, because we are mentally prepared. So, we will get our mind ready to cope with the stresses in a survival situation. So, at least we will be able to survive, and we will be able to face that particular challenge. Athletes use mental preparedness as do lawyers, managers, and others who successfully work in the high stress situations, and therefore, it is not only the physical preparedness that will be enough, but with the physical preparedness the mental preparedness is also equally important. So, why is the mental preparedness is so important? Talent and skills can only take you so far. Hockey player Jamie McQueen describes the importance of mental preparedness. He points out that the fastest skaters do not play in the NHL, or nor do the people with the strongest shot. It is the mental aspect of the game that separates the good from the great. The great hockey players need to be able to play their skills in the heart of the in the heat of the moment, and therefore, in that case whenever there is a particular situation is there, that is the heat of the moment is there, that now you have to perform, otherwise you will lose, you have to win, and therefore, that hockey players at that time, because they are well prepared, mental preparedness is there. So, they win. They need to react quickly even when things do not go as they practice. So, as a player we know that is if the player is also not mentally prepared, then in that case he will not be able to react in a given situation. Brain is like a muscle, it can be trained and made stronger, and therefore, in that case we have to train our brain as much as possible and make it stronger, so that in any challenging situation that brain can work effectively. The following are three methods used by the Navy SEALs to build up the mental preparedness needed for survive any situation is there. So, one is the emergency conditioning. Emergency conditioning is, that is the, if any situation suddenly arises, then how to react, and that first is the set goals. So, we have to set the goals, that is what we are supposed to do. So, with the mental preparedness we will be able to immediately understand that we are supposed to go for this particular goal, and then that goal can be achieved because there will be a requirement of the physical ability and mental ability, and then we should have a positive thinking. The positive thinking is such a strong weapon that will help us in every war, how to fight the war, and then therefore the positivity, and then the think positive, that will help us, and this think positivity and in our thought process, and that will be also help us to manage the stress management is there. So, even we manage the stress with the yoga exercises, but what is most important is this, that is it is developing the mental preparedness is there. Now, in emergency conditions, emergency conditioning is a training technique which is used to make unknown situations seem familiar. So, therefore, even if there is a situation where we have come across and we are experienced, but there might be suddenly an unknown situation, and therefore, how you will be familiar with that unknown situation. You are basically trick your brain not thinking that it has already gone through the experience. So, it does not seem as scary or stressful when you actually do go through it. So, therefore, many times we find that the situations are attractive, and we go for those situations, and but we find that is then they are not becoming as playful as we thought of. So, therefore, in that case we have to make the practice emergency conditions by playing out of all the possible scenarios that can happen in our head. So, therefore, in our head we will find that is, it is not the one condition, emergency condition only. Similarly, there can be the many situations, and then we have to try to overcome those all situations. Now, naturally we have to keep a very long term goal, set the goals, and these goals can be break down into the short term goals and into the long term goals, and then they can be the change. In the think positive thinking is a mental and emotional attitude that focuses on the bright side of life and expects positive results, and therefore, whenever we are having the positive thinking, then definitely we have to see the bright side of life, and then we have to expect the positive results, because if we are not having the positive approach, then definitely it will be difficult to achieve the goals. A person with positive thinking mentality anticipates happiness, health and success. Because he has worked into the happiness, then definitely he will be able to understand that if we are more positive, then we will have the more happiness, and with happiness it will not only the happiness, it will come with the health and success, and believes that he or she can overcome any obstacle and difficulty because of his positive attitude. In the stress management, stress is our body's way of responding to any kind of demand. It can be caused by the both good and bad experiences. Stress can affect both our body and our mind. People under large amounts of stress can become tired, sick, unable to concentrate or think clearly. So, therefore, in that case, if there is a lot of stress is there in the mind, then the person will be feeling the tired and sick, and definitely he will not be able to perform because unable to concentrate on the think clearly on the problem. Sometimes they even suffer mental breakdowns, but if this situation increases, then definitely one day that will reach to the mental breakdowns. So, managing stress effectively is a very important factor affecting your performance. So, we have to manage the stress effectively, so that we are able to perform in a better way. So, when we are talking about the performance, in the performance the competitive advantage are the competitiveness, efficiency and effectiveness. If we are having the efficiency and effectiveness proper, then definitely we will have the competitive advantage. Perspectives on performance. Researchers have adopted various perspectives for studying performance. An individual difference perspective which searches for the individual characteristics. So, definitely it depends on the individual. A situational perspective which focuses on situational aspects aspects as facilitators and impediments for the performance is there, and therefore, it becomes very important, that is what is the situation is there. A performance regulation perspective which describes the performance process, and therefore, in that case we have to also describe the performance process is there. So, therefore, what is important, that is the in any particular perspective of these performance, we have to understand it will vary from the individual to individual, a situational and a situation. Every individual will not be successful in every situation, but therefore, it is way to understand and facilitates in impedance the performance is there. A performance regulation perspective which describes the performance process. So, we will come now to the overview of the different perspective on performance. This different perspective on performance is the core question is which individuals perform best, in which situations do individuals perform best, and how does the performance process looks like, what is happening when someone is performing. So, therefore, we should know that is which individuals perform best. Core assumptions and findings, cognitive ability, motivational and personality, professional experience, that will be the core assumptions and finding. And the situational perspective will be job characteristics, role stressor and situational constructs, and the performance regulation will be action process factors, adequate hierarchical level. Practical implications for the performance improvement are, that is the training, that is the, if you want to make the performance improvement, then we have to provide the training to the personnel selection, those who are selected, because in the case of the core questions we have seen that who are the individuals, those who perform best. So, exposure to specific experience and situational perspective, that is a job design will be there, and the performance regulation perspective, the goal setting, feedback interventions, behavioral modifications and improvement of action process will be there. Finally, I would like to take this particular case study, that is employee training and development at Motorola. US based Motorola was one of the world's leading electronics and the telecom goods company. It has been adjudged as one of the top employee training companies in the world. Motorola gave utmost importance to training right from its inception. In the 1930s, the Robert Kelvin, the CEO and the president of Motorola, proposed the formation of an exclusive department dedicated to training to its workers, from executives to shop floor employees. So, in organization totally a separate the training department was created, and that was 100% dedicated to the workers in the Motorola. The proposal was made due to the increasing competition from international players in the industry, especially from Japan. And why Motorola was so cautious? Because there was a tough competition to the Motorola from the Japan. By the 1980s, Motorola had emerged as a model organization in the corporate world for employee education, training and development. So, here we find that is the how they have prepared their employees. So, they were knowing about the competition, and if the competition is there and then we have to prepare for the future businesses, then definitely our employees should be prepared, and that preparedness can come through the training programs. So, they have totally focused on the training and development of their employees, and by the 1990s they have emerged as a model organization, and it is just because of the employee education, training and development. In the 1980s, the training initiatives of the company, that is culminated in the setting up of the Motorola Education and Training Center, an exclusive institute to look after the training and development requirements of Motorola's employees. So, therefore, the companies, these type of companies they are having their own training center, and training initiatives of the company that they are culminated in the setting up of the Motorola Education and Training Center. Like India also, you will find that is there are the many PSUs and larger enterprises, they are having their own training center, and that therefore, that is becoming the formula for the preparedness. The institute was later developed to the status of a university, Motorola University in 1980s. So, therefore, that is the center that has converted into the Motorola University in 1989. These training experiments become such a resounding success that employee productivity improved year after year, and quality wise Motorola's products became synonymous with the perfection. Leading companies all over the world visited Motorola's headquarters to study the high performance work practices of the company, because with this particular training and development they were able to improve their year after year, and quality wise Motorola's products became synonymous with the perfection, and this type of the training has been provided to the employees. They discovered and the leading companies all over the world visited the Motorola's headquarters to study the high performance work practices of the company, and it was an honor. That is the how they have started in the 1930s to prepare their own employees, providing them the training, creating a training center, the training center into the university, and the university was visited by the many industries. They discovered that Motorola's success was built on the strong foundations of the corporate wide learning practices, and that Motorola University was the cornerstone of corporate learning, and therefore it has been found that is the Motorola was becoming the very successful by making the preparedness of their employees in the training and development, and when the employees are prepared they will be able to perform, and when this is a culture of the preparedness and performance, I am sure that all employees with affiliation will grow together. So, this becomes a very important role in interpersonal relations, that is the training and development. If you give the training and development, your employees will be more efficient and effective. So, this is all about the preparedness and the performance. Thank you.